Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I am your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. It was a beautiful day outside today. That's on Southern California. Our HOLM22 is Ryan's Twitter handle, and mine is PORSBR. The Raiders played a game today in New Orleans. This is our rapid response to that game, and the Raiders lose 24-0 in this ball game. And we're going to, I don't want to speak in hyperbole and all that stuff like that, but I think we know where this ship is going. I remember, just sitting here watching a game where you can't get the ball to Renfro, you can't get the ball to Davante Adams. I don't know how we sit here and try to act like this is anything but a mess. The quarterback isn't the only one to blame for this loss, but it's really about that time to we've been there for 10 years. It's just about that time.
You forgot they couldn't even get the ball to midfield. Who's the other person they couldn't get the ball to?
Yes. In a league, Ryan, where they do everything for the offense to score points.
Yeah, the Saints came in at giving up 28.6 points per game. They were the second worst defense in the league, only the Lions. They were without Marshawn Lattimore. They gave up 42, I believe, the week prior.
Yes.
And you would have thought we were watching the 85 Bears or Alabama playing UT Martin or something like that. It is a disaster from the first series. And I had Davante Adams behind me, but I made him disappear before this podcast. I put the Raiders logo up there, just like he did in the game today when Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels completely forgot that he was on the team.
Yeah.
The Saints started a rookie corner, and they didn't even attack him. I guess the only play in the playbook for Davante Adams is the lob the ball down the sidelines and hope a miracle happens. That's the only play in the playbook to get the ball to Davante Adams, except for on 3rd and 1 when you want to run a jet sweep, when you should just hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs. So they were clearly outcoached. I had tweeted during the game that Josh McDaniels is having circles running around him by none other than Dennis Allen, which is just can't happen. And then as much as you and I like the Patrick Graham hiring, it's clear
it's been bad.
That they just can't come together. They don't have the right parts. And, when you start, if you really want to sit back and look at this front office, the new regime that came in, they're not coaching very well right now. They're not getting a lot out of the players they signed in free agency. Like, who are the free agents that they went out and signed other than Deron Harmon that are really contributing to this team in a positive way? Mac Hollins?
Yeah.
Out of all the changes they've made, where's Bilal Nichols? Where's the interior pressure?
Yep.
The linebackers can't cover anything.
Uh-huh.
Anthony Aver got circles run around him for the second straight week. Trayvon Merrick started today over Jonathan Abram against a team where they're going to pound the ball with Taysom. Patrick Graham had 2 jobs today: stop Alvin Kamara or contain him, and stop Taysom Hill when he lines up in the Wildcat. They didn't do either.
Yeah.
And I guess the idea was to take Abram off the field when you knew the team was going to run the ball. I don't get it. I have no idea what the game plan is week to week.
Yeah, me either. I think from the very beginning in training camp, I think the thing I didn't like was it was like certain players just had the preseason and everything off. Like nobody was. It wasn't. I didn't. It just seemed like it was. I think they somehow gained this great confidence from beating up on the Patriots in a week in that week where they practiced together. And it was just, I heard all about that and how they smoked the Patriots in that moment. And it doesn't matter. Like for years with the Patriots, I saw their players play in the preseason. Like Divine Diablo, did he play at all in the preseason? Not at all. He didn't play at all in the preseason. But, so I'm sitting there thinking that, okay, they must have something huge planned for him, and he can't cover, he can't tackle. Misses tackles left and right. You know what? When anybody shows any kind of speed in the open area, it just seems like it's never, even like passes that are 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, they still can't get tackles for loss because they don't have the team speed defensively. I mean, you couldn't see that from watching this team on tape. Like I could have told you that. I mean, and then Carr not getting the whole preseason off and everybody getting all the preseason off. Like, come on, it was bad. I mean, it's been bad from the get go. I didn't like that part of it. And Patrick Graham, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know where that guy is who almost beat Patrick Mahomes with Daniel Jones because the defense was playing so well. I don't know where that guy is. I don't know where that guy is. But they're just lost in the sauce defensively. And every week you have to coach to your team's strengths, right? You are supposed to be an offensive team, so you got to limit your defense's exposure. Okay. So how the hell are you calling fake punts, cousin? Like, how are you calling fake punts in your own? How are you calling that when you know your defense is suspect? I don't get it. I'm getting hot and sweaty now talking about
it. It was a one possession game at that point. It was early second quarter.
Yeah.
Why are you giving? And the defense did not play well today. They held them to 24, which is not anything to write home about. But the offense and play calling after the Carr interception turned into a touchdown, and they missed fake punt. That's a minimum of 2 field goals. The defense does everything perfect. It's 2 field goals. That's 6 points. So we contribute at least 6 points to Josh McDaniels in the offense. So the defense couldn't get off the field, couldn't get pressure, couldn't get sacks. They didn't get home, but they still held them to 18. You have to win that game. The Saints are giving up 28 points a game. They were without Marshawn Lattimore. The offense couldn't even get to midfield. And I think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from this is Josh McDaniels and Ziegler were supposed to be, joined at the hip and lockstep. They spent the entire offseason thinking this was a win now playoff team, and they're coaching this like this was a 2-14 team or 2-15 team where they're trying to rebuild everything. Yeah. They can't have it both ways. And we talked about this earlier in the offseason. CBS went out of their way multiple times to say how Josh McDaniels was so proud of himself and how happy he was that they spent the entire month of September experimenting with the offensive line. I got news for you, Josh McDaniels. You're 2-5 and you're not making the playoffs. So who cares? Yeah. The only thing that matters is the 2 and the 5 in the win and loss column. Don't pat yourself on the back like Barry Horowitz, the ex-wrestler. Go coach a game, win a game. Figure out how to get the ball to Davante Adams. You guys traded for him, and you gave him $140 million, and you traded away valuable assets that you could have used to rebuild the offensive line or the defensive line on this team to get a wide receiver. And now you have an offensive line when if the running game's not going and you can't dial up play action on 1st and 10, and you have to throw the ball on 3rd and 7+ has no chance to block anybody right now. So that's on Ziegler. That's on McDaniels. And I know there was guys coming to me on Twitter today basically saying, well, that's the hand he's dealt with. He's doing what he can. They chose this hand. Free agency is still a thing last time I checked. They had cap room, and they spent all that money away from the offensive line. They brought back that offensive line that was not good last year, and they sat around as a collective group in front office and said, let's go with Brandon Parker. If that doesn't work, we have Alex Leatherwood. If that doesn't work, we have Jermaine Illuminor. Let's bring back John Simpson, who now we hate and we don't even put on the field. Let's go with Lester Cotton. They made all of those decisions. You can't blame the past regime for the decisions this regime made in the offseason. They knew that they had Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. They traded for Davante Adams, and they acted like the offensive line was going to play fine.
Yeah.
Not today, they didn't.
No, it's funny. You look at the Stidham in garbage time almost had more yards than Carr in this game, which is crazy to me. Matt Collins, and I love Matt Collins. I think he's. Having players like that makes sense, but Matt Collins is not your number one threat. I hate drives when you start the game. Here's my thing: the team is toneless, and when I say they're toneless, is what's the tone? What's the identity of the defense? I don't know. What's the tone what's the tone and the identity of the offense? I don't know. You don't know. There is no. You have to have a variety of it. You can't like today. I'm watching right in the background. The Falcons are playing the Panthers. Both teams are run first teams, but they adjusted today and both got 34 points. They're both throwing bombs all over the place because you adjust. Like, how come these guys can get people wide open and you can't get open again? You're playing a rookie against Adams. Like, that's a strain on. I know they're best friends, but that's a strain on our relationship. Like, he came all.
That's 2 times in 6 weeks. that they just not gotten him the ball.
Like,
that never happened to him in Green Bay.
It never did. It never did. But like, I think the thing about it is like for me is like, first drive they come out in a heavy set, whatever. I don't know what the fuck that is. Excuse my language. But good teams. Whenever I watch good teams and good coordinators play, oh my god, I can't believe this. You missed a field goal. They come out and they say, okay, we're gonna establish our best players. We're gonna get our best players all lathered up. Let me see those dreads fly. Let me see him catch 3 or 4 passes. That changes the whole tone of the tone of the game. You can't gear up plays to get Davante Adams the football. Like, that's crazy to me. And I thought the way it started this year, the way they got him the football in the first drive against the Chargers, I thought, yeah, this is the way it's going to be all year. But they have not been able to do that consistently, and that's embarrassing. I mean, you can't get
Davante. They did it last week too. Like, it was like 3 or 4 on the first drive, and then nothing till like late third, and then 3 or 4, and that got him to 8.
Yeah,
like he just, and it's not on him. Like, he's still getting open. He's a great player. That is on the play caller.
Yep.
It's also on the quarterback, because he's the one that's controlling this offense, making the reads. And this is who Derek Carr's been his whole career. He had Amari Cooper, and he disappeared a lot. And part of that was on Cooper, but part of that's on Carr. He's so risk averse. And then the minute he threw that interception, which I don't know what he was doing, he threw into quadruple coverage and didn't even see the linebacker. He basically had his eyes looking to Adams and then just threw it over the middle without taking a look to see who was there. And then at that point, it was over. It was check down, punt, penalty. Like, I didn't see Mamba Vitality. I almost tweeted. I texted a friend of mine, like, Ruben Patterson was the Kobe stopper. Like, is Dennis Allen now like the car stopper, or is another, I saw on Twitter, the mechanic? Like, because he basically shut down Carr. Like, there is no excuse for Derek Carr to go in that game and play as bad as he did. Now, granted, the offensive line wasn't very good, but he ran into several sacks today where he could have got out.
He just held it. He just
put his head down and ran into it. It was literally London all over again. I texted you the Seahawks game, and that can't happen. It's year 9. You're making $40 million a year. The offensive line is not good. We all know that. But if we're going to sit around here and wait for the offensive line to have 5 Pro Bowlers and Davante Adams and a healthy Waller and a defense that holds teams to 15, then why the hell are we paying the quarterback $40 million?
And even when they had let's be honest, when they had Rodney Hudson, when they had Kelechi Osemele, when they had those big pieces and they had Donald Penn, who gave up 1 sack all year, they had one season where they had a big year. One. They didn't have multiple seasons. People act like 2016 was multiple years. It was one season. It was one season of big play. After that, they just didn't do anything. Are you a body language guy when you watch players? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And like, you can tell, like, I can look in his, and I talk about this all the time on this show. In the first quarter, there is a part of him that just completely hyperventilates. In every game, usually it's at home games. You can see it in home games more so than anything, but he just is shook. It's done. Like, that's nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to change in the play of the quarterback. He's just going to continue to be, a shell of himself because he's just not ready. And I think last week was more of, Josh Jacobs in the running game, kind of getting him got to settle the game down. He can relax, but you are what you are. And then, that's that old saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe him. He's showing you who he is. He is inconsistent. He is, as Mariota runs like a 50-yard run down the field and gets the.
He's got 3 touchdowns today. Remind me the last time Derek Carr threw 3 touchdowns in a game.
He did. He had 3 touchdowns, and it was against the Jets on a Hail Mary at the end to Henry Ruggs, who's no longer with
in 2020.
What was that time he had 4?
It's almost 2023. It was in 2020.
What? Well, that's time he had 4 touchdowns in the game.
It's been 68 games. 60. It's almost 70.
The Browns
game?
70. Was that the Browns game?
Yes, the Browns game in 2018.
Yeah. Okay. How many Tua have today? I don't know, dude. I don't know.
It's mind-boggling. He's a game manager. I know, like, people got upset last week when I said that in some of the comments, but like, the quarterback goes out there, protects the ball, hits the underneath routes, occasionally throws the ball down the field, doesn't turn the ball over, and throws 1 or 2 touchdowns a week and relies on running. Last time I checked, that's a game manager.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's not going out there. Has he thrown for 300 yards this year? Has he thrown 3 touchdowns? I mean, he has weapons. They haven't been healthy. I'll give him that. He has a subpar pass blocking offensive line. I'll give him that. But so does 90% of the quarterbacks in this league right now.
Yeah.
It's not like there's 20 teams walking around with elite offensive lines. There might be one or two in the entire league.
Anybody for
And
all the for the one line I love that you always text at me whenever the Giants are playing. You'll text me saying that, hey, wow, for Raider fans who think the Raiders have a bad offensive line, have you seen the Giants play? What's the Giants record? What's the Giants record,
the
folks?
Bears
The
or
Bears.
the Falcons.
They're scoring points at least.
Have you seen the Bucks offensive line? Have you seen the Packers offensive line? Like, have you seen the Broncos offensive line? Like, we can do this with 90% of the teams in the league.
Did you see? Here is a situation where you can complain about the defense. So because this channel is USC and Raiders football. When Caleb Williams played at Utah a couple of weeks ago, he scored 42 points and had 5 touchdown passes. USC gave up 43 and lost. That's when you can complain about the defense. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders defense doesn't deserve. I mean, we talked about them before we moved to the odds. So they don't get a pass this week either because they literally had a wounded duck in front of them and they couldn't stop them. Yeah, I'm just at some point, like, enough's enough. Like, McDaniels, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like that Mark Davis had another closed door meeting with him after this game. Like, Mark Davis single-handedly walked in and said, "You're out of here, Dennis Allen." And Dennis Allen just boot stomped the Raiders right out of the Superdome. So, Mark Davis can't be happy. I don't think that they can move on from McDaniels at this point. I don't think that
if
Mark
Al Davis was the head,
if
Al Davis was in charge,
if Al Davis was the head coach, he would be even going to Jacksonville next week.
He'd be fired.
But he's not.
He'd be fired.
The Raiders at some point, they have to make a decision. Clearly, Ziegler and McDaniels don't like this roster, the way that they've kind of handled it, and moving on from Hankins, which is fine. I think the phone might be ringing, and if I'm Dave Ziegler and I'm 2-5, and let's be real, I watched the Jaguars today. I know they lost to the Broncos. That defense full of young dudes that fly around and are athletes. It's not going to be easy walking into Jacksonville and coming out with a win next week because Travis Etienne can fly. He's very similar to Kamara. Hopefully Lawrence throws some interceptions in the red zone like he did this week. I think he's got 5 in his first couple of years, but that's still a pretty good team talent-wise that Jacksonville has. They could easily beat the Raiders based on what I saw today from both teams. Now, it's a week-to-week league.
Yeah.
Hopefully it changes. But Josh Jacobs, like if someone calls you, if Buffalo calls and offers you a second-round pick for Josh Jacobs, would you say no at 2-5? You're not making the playoffs. But the grandeur of going, 11-5, what would it be, 12-5, 11-6, or 10-7, that's not happening. They're 2-5, and they got a brutal month of December ahead of them, even if they can get through November 1st.
No. That's done.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's time to make. I think it's time, and it's going to be hurtful. Is it going to? And I was thinking about this I was thinking about this during the game. Is this a one season with Devontae Adams? Wow, that's bad.
I don't know if they can move on from it. I have to look at the cap numbers, but clearly
him sitting here with a rookie quarterback or a quarterback who is or a guy who's a. I mean, listen. Even if it's Gardner Minshew, I bet you he'll get more catches than playing with Derek Carr. I mean, geez, I don't know. It's interesting to see
Jimmy G. Jimmy G's going to. Not that I'm endorsing Jimmy G as a quarterback. I'm not, but I'm saying he has. Yeah. Someone's going to survive this. Is it going to be Ziegler, McDaniels? Is it going to be Carr and Adams? Like, I don't think that if this season goes off the rails, let's say they win 4. Let's say they go 5-12. Can Mark Davis just sit back and bring it all back and say, "Hey, first year, new system, let's ride"?
You can't.
Can he do that? You can't do that. This was a playoff team that was 10-7, and Mark Davis is paid for all these guys to come in. He paid McDaniels. He paid Ziegler. He paid Adams. He paid Renfro. He paid Waller. He paid Crosby. He paid Carr. You think Mark Davis is happy about what's going on right now?
No, and the Atlanta Falcons are in first place. Yeah, no, you can. I mean, no, he's paid. He shut out a lot of money. He re-upped. The plan was to quote unquote, according to the quarterback, to make sure everybody could re-up. They could re-up Waller. They could re-up Renfro. They could re-up. They could make sure Adams got paid. They can make sure he got paid. Everybody can get paid, and Max Crosby can get paid. I think Max Crosby could have probably got more money, but he stayed. He wanted to stay with the Raiders, right? So what do you do with this? What do you do with this team? I mean, at 2-5, I mean, if somebody's calling about Darren, if somebody's calling about you got to get some draft picks. They need a draft that's filled with picks. The only problem is I don't know if just the little things I'm seeing out of McDaniels. I don't know if he likes what the league is going towards as far as mobile quarterbacks. I don't think he likes that because his attitude of like the one thing about Gruden that I will say that what I liked is that like I think Carr had like what the career when it has some career highs in rushing the football and that kind of forcing him to kind of run the football when the opportunity is there. I'm not saying do Josh Allen runs, but stuff like that. He tells him to stay in the pocket all the time. And I just feel like, I mean, is he going to draft like somebody from a pocket passer from college when the whole league is going towards these guys who can move because the offensive lines aren't good? I don't know.
Well, it's also Carr doesn't want to move the pocket either. So when he hears McDaniel say that, he's like, okay, I'm going to stay here. But a lot of times he stands there and he just basically holds the ball and kind of tucks it in and waits for someone to grab him. Like he's pardon this, but he's going full Jeff George. Jeff George used to do like get in the fetal position before he even got touched. Like he does that a lot. And then today he ran into the first sack. Where Bars gave up the sack, he got a little pressure. He ran right into that. And then another one, he was rolling out. He's rolling to the sideline, and then Derek Carr tries to cut back into like 2 or 3 defenders and immediately goes down. Like throw that ball out of bounds. Try to get to the outside.
Throw it at somebody's feet, so you can keep. So you can take a 5-yard loss.
I mean, there was a lot of Jalen Hurts to the Raiders when he was coming out. There was a lot of love from John Gruden. Sound like in that front office, like that would have been
the perfect.
Jalen Hurts is balling right now. But this isn't all on Derek Carr. Like the offensive line didn't show up. The play calling was horrendous. The defense couldn't figure out how to stop a nosebleed today. Luckily, they didn't give up 30 points because the Saints basically took their foot off the
special
brake,
teams, DJ Turner,
the special teams
can't catch a punt.
Trent
double catching a punt. I mean, I would love to see the all 23 just for that one play because for Trent's sake to get caught for another.
That's 3 in 2 weeks for the Raiders holding while trying to punt. Like you don't see that all year, and they've gotten 3 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How many holds do the Raiders have like trying to punt or block a kick? Because that's at least 4 through 6 weeks.
That's at least lead the league in something. Well, they can lead the league in something as far as that goes. What's the move you would make at the deadline? The phone's probably ringing right now. They have talented players on this team. And the Raiders need draft picks. So what was the first move the first guy you would be looking to move if you could move him?
It hurts me to say this, but if someone offered me a 2nd-round pick for Josh Jacobs, I would probably move him at this point.
Yeah.
Because the way this team's going, I know that all these fans want to re-sign all these wide receivers and running backs and tight ends, but at some point they're going to have to spend money on the offensive line and the defense. If they want to have a good offensive line and defense, you have to spend money on it. So, if Josh Jacobs is going to have the season we think he's going to have, he's going to get at least $8 to $10 million on the open market, and probably more than that. Like, can the Raiders really afford at this point to have $16 million in Renfrow, who they don't even use anymore? Renfrow, I don't know where he is.
Oh, that's
Darren
another
Waller's
thing.
Making 16.
That's another thing. He came from slot receiver in New England, and I can't get a slot receiver to catch anything on this team. Like I mean, you know what I mean? Like in this, and I mean, it was more than just Haas Juke. They had plays for Edelman and all these other guys and Wes Welker when they played there. Why is that like? Talk about where's Waldo? Where is the slot game? The slot game is. I mean, my boy was jokingly texting me. He was like, I miss Greg Olson. Like at least he got those guys involved. You know what I mean? It was just I don't know. It's pretty bad.
So I'm looking around like you're going to spend $28 million or whatever it is on Adams, 40 on the quarterback, 16 on the slot receiver, 16 on the tight end, and you're going to spend 10 plus on the running back. Like that's way too much money to spend on one side of the ball.
No. Can I see Brenton? For me, can I see Brenton Brown? Can I see Brenton now? I mean, Abdullah's giving you nothing.
Where's Brandon Bolden been the last couple of weeks?
Oh, he's not good.
They don't even use him.
He's not. He's not.
I look at the defense, and the only one out there that I
Mm.
would say yes, you need to bring back right now is probably I like Rocky Sin, like for what he is.
Yeah,
Like
what it is. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
not paying him top dollar, but
No.
you can give him a nice 3-year extension for like I don't know $7 or $8 million a year. That's what cornerbacks cost. Like Anthony Averett can go back to wherever he was.
Yeah,
He's been
Damon Arnett
terrible for
too
2
can
weeks.
definitely go. Yeah, I don't want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want any more red braids cornerbacks on this team anymore. They're just hard. They're just horrible. He's clue. I mean, this game defensively. If I am running the defense, I'm saying to myself, okay, this has to be Dalton to tight window throws to Olave. Like that's what you have to force in this game. You can't just let Alvin Kamara was just like that was just a sieve. That was just like giving touchdowns away, giving up yards all the time. And talk about middle field open, middle field closed. It was open the entire game. I mean, like the little angle routes inside, the little square ends. Those were like that was just easy for 41. That was you didn't even make Dalton work hard. Like what the
it was
hell,
Madden
dude?
on rookie. I was
It
like
was,
playing Madden on
it
rookie
was
level. That's what it
Madden
was.
on a rookie. That's what it was. It was. It was. It was.
When they blitzed, it was early and they blitzed, and Blake Martinez was lining up against Kamara. I texted him like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, flip the assignments, put Diablo and Perriman come, but Diablo comes from depth again. Like, get on the line of scrimmage, come from the line of scrimmage, make them communicate. Like, bringing a guy from 5 to 8 yards deep when they can get rid of the football in a 3 to 5 step drop's never going to work.
No. I don't know.
I see defense linemen knock passes down all the time. Other than Max Crosby does that?
Yes,
Is there another
nobody.
Raiders defensive
Nobody
lineman that
does
gets his
that.
hands up?
Nobody does that. Yeah. If you
I
can't
saw
get.
Malcolm Kuntz
Yeah.
again do
Exactly.
nothing. I know that people keep complaining they want to see Kuntz. Well, he's out there. They're trying. Chandler Jones was nowhere to be seen again. It's
Ghost.
over. Chandler Jones is washed. I'm ready to say that. Like as a pass rusher, like he can set the edge and play the run. Can't rush the pass anymore. Not to the level that they paid him. So they're going to have to do something on that side of the football. No one's going to take that contract. They may just hate the money and move on in the offseason. Like he's 33, 34. I don't know how old he is, but clearly there's no juice left in those legs.
And the bad thing about it is like you had the opportunity to see that, and you chose to sign him anyway. Just looking at the target share, 5 targets for Adams. I mean, I've watched first quarters where he got 5 targets, much less entire games, and
It
one
took 4 drives. It was the 5th drive before they even threw a ball to him.
And I don't even like, to me, like Carr hasn't earned the right to sit that last drive out. Like who are you to have this guy sit the last drive out? You were much a part of this loss as anybody. Take those sacks, take those hits. I mean, we're paying you $30 million. I mean, the season's done anyway. Like, I mean, putting
$40 million.
$40 million. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I do think Jacobs could be the guy. Also, talk about roster construction, and that's a big thing that you talk about at the beginning of the season. I mean, 5 running backs, cousin. 5 running backs. 5 running backs. We got all these defensive deficiencies and deficiencies on the offensive line, and on the defensive interior with the tackles, and you have 5 running backs.
How's Kenyon Drake doing for the Ravens? Just curious because I saw him on Thursday night.
I don't know. I mean, I know that Jalen Richard is a better a better third down back than anybody we got on our team now. Anybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusing additions to the roster now. Like looking back now, I'm just spending on the deal. Like as much as they've spent on draft picks in the secondary, like this secondary is still not good. Like it's not good. Like Hobbs is out, we get that, but like Robertson's a serviceable, 4th or 5th corner, but you can't be playing the number of snaps he's playing. Like Anthony Averett for 2 weeks has been atrocious.
Yeah.
Rocky Sin's okay.
Yes.
I mean, Deron Harmon's doing what he can at his age. Like he's made some plays. Trayvon Merrick, like you got to get that in. You got to get that foot down on the interception. Do something to spark the defense. Jonathan Abram still waiting for that first sack or a turnover on defense.
He's Jamal Adams. He's Jamal Adams though. Just blitz Abram, so he'll get there. He never gets there. My favorite thing, if you watch Deron Harmon when he intercepts the ball, he doesn't leave his feet to jump. He just runs through it. I love that. The little nuances, like him jumping up in the air when he could have fair caught that interception was ridiculous. And Devontae, love Devontae, great player. I don't care what Nike deal you have. The sidelines are white. Guess what shoes you're gonna go? Guess what color shoes you're gonna be
Wear
wearing?
black shoes.
Guess what
I
color
still
shoes you're
think
gonna
he
be
caught that
wearing?
ball. I'm 100%
Oh,
positive
he
he was in
caught it.
bounds
He caught
because
it. He caught
when
it.
his left foot came up, you saw him kick up the green turf. You didn't see any white move. Now,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell from the side because it was white on white, but
Mm-hmm.
you didn't see any white move when the front of his foot came off the ground. So I'm almost positive. I would say 99.9%. I guess 100% strong. I'll go 99.9. That was a
Yeah,
catch.
that was a catch. Okay, and it's funny, $1 billion industry, and I can't get better angles on that play. Like what? Like do they send like the cheap cameras to the bad games
It
because
was
that's
like it was like the Chicago Bears all 22 from up behind. So you're like, why don't we have a shot down the line? Why are we looking down at an angle through the cornerback?
yeah, and then
I don't
like
get that.
and then like you have a great eye of catching false starts. I don't need an NFL official who's getting paid by a network to cover for his boys. That was a false start. Okay, I don't need him to tell me that in real time it's hard. No, that was a false start. I mean, it wouldn't amount to anything. The Raiders were still going to get blown out in that game, but don't tell me it wasn't a false start when it was a false start. Please stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, I
No,
know some people are like, "Oh, you guys sound down after this," but like, is there any positive? Is there one positive you
no,
can take from this game?
no, no.
I mean,
It's
Neil Farrell like was okay. Like I'd have to see all two, which I won't be able to see the all 22 this week because I have to travel for work. But like,
yeah.
he was okay.
I wish it
I
was a
thought it was
positive.
interesting. Did you see the defense they came out in? Like, after being like a 3-4 all year, they basically played a 4-3 for the whole first half,
Yeah.
where they just had two defense tackles, three linebackers, and then you had Crosby and Jones playing standard defense. In the second half, they switched back to the 3-4 defense for the
Mm-hmm.
most part.
Yeah.
But they thought the way to do this was to have Perryman and Blake Martinez
On
try
the
to
field.
cover Kamara
Yeah.
together with Diablo blitzing or Diablo doing whatever Diablo was doing most of the day. And then we're not going to play as much as Abrams of liability and coverage, but like this team's going to run the football and they're not going to throw the ball down the field. So he's not really a liability against this kind of team. He doesn't play a lot. I don't know. I was like, it was over quick.
And to me,
Put it
like
that way.
very similar to the Kansas City game, like it's football. So the one part of the game where you can still be physical is within the first 5 yards. Like, can we hit Alvin Kamara in the backfield? Can we hit Travis Kelsey? Can you hit those people? Like if you're that's their best player. So why are we not like engaging them, and hitting them as hard as you can? You have to, and that you have to that 1 second is the second that it takes for somebody like 98 to get to the quarterback. Like even on some of these blitzes that weren't there, didn't get there. You just need one more beat so that the quarterback can just rush a throw, and then maybe you get a pick, maybe you get a tip pass or something like that. I don't know. It's really I mean it's bad in every little nuance. They're just a bad football team, and I tried to kind of give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Maybe they would start. He's just so ho hum and relaxed. Maybe it's the contract. Maybe it's like whatever, but like where is the fire to get this team going? Like, I mean, it just nothing is the Dolphins. I mean, the offense is vanilla. The defense is vanilla. Like they can't get the ball to the best player. They can't get their best player into the backfield to make to get sacks on the quarterback and make plays behind the line of scrimmage. I mean,
They can't cover the best player on the other team, Travis Kelsey, Alvin Kamara.
take
And
somebody
I
away.
think
Take
I
something
think you said it
away.
like week 2. Rip the Jets sweep to Devontae Adams out of the playbook, and they ran it again today on 3rd and 1.
When you have
That
Josh
could have been the
Jacobs,
turning point of the game. Like if
Josh
they put a drive
Jacobs,
together and get a field goal, it's 7-3. Next thing you know, it's 10-0 and 17-0
you
ball
get a
game.
turnover, maybe. You never know. You never know. Yeah, I know. I mean, that is like
I
it.
didn't see any adjustments at halftime on either side of the ball either. Really, like they
Yeah.
were difference makers.
Mm.
We
Everybody's
might be
paid.
better if the kick returner just stop catching the ball at the goal line or the one and just let it go in the end zone and take it to the 25.
Yeah, I
This
don't know.
special teams coach, I know the Broncos are terrible. He's been awful. Their special teams has been a disaster this year.
Yes, I mean,
Other than Daniel Carlson and AJ Cole, but the coverage units and the return units have not been good.
just the fact that they even implemented the Kuntz play in the Kansas City primetime game with
I
you know
watch for it every field goal now. I haven't seen it since then either.
yeah. So I mean, obviously it was like Bucker's not playing. We're gonna block a kick this week. Okay, coach, this is what we're gonna do. That's bad football, man. That's bad football. That's bad football. That's bad football. Anything else? I know you got to fight to catch them at some point coming up next day or two. It's bad. It's bad.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a positive.
Yeah.
I
can't.
I mean, we got Derek Carr like all over the place in the first quarter, misses Keenan Cole deep, and you look on Twitter and it's like, dude didn't dive for it. Give your guy a chance. Like, how about make a better throw?
I could.
Yeah, Matt Collins running up the sideline wide open.
Yes.
Wide open.
Yeah,
who's 6'4", and you throw it so high that the guy has to basically leap fully extended, and it goes off his left fingernail, and that's a drop. That's not a drop. I got an issue with it, nation. That is not a drop. Hit the dude in the chest. Like, even if he catches that ball when he had to jump, he was going to be out of bounds. So, it's too late this season. Basically, the Raiders are playing for pride at this point. There is no way that I see this team being able to compete for a playoff spot. Now, can they try to go on a run and get to 7 or 8 wins? That's feasible, but now you're back in the same spot you've always been in.
That's fool's gold. I mean, I'm not gonna. That's fool's gold at this point. I mean, I don't know, man. I would entertain. As painful it would be to watch the rest of the season, I would even entertain number 4. Like, I mean, like I just can't do it.
If the Colts called me for number 4 and offered me multiple
draft picks, yeah,
2 first-round picks, a first, a second, I would take it.
I would take it because you just need to move. It just like it might to get to where Mark Davis wants to go. There has to be some pain involved. It just has to be. We've been in pain for the last 30 years anyway. What's a couple of more seasons? You need a new directive. You need something else. You need somebody else to put on the movie poster. The movie poster has been starring number 4 for a long time, and it's time for a new actor. Time for a new actor.
I think the only guys on this roster that would be untouchable would be Devontae Adams. At this point, Colton Miller, I don't think they move on from Colton Miller. Max Crosby, Daniel Carlson, Nate Hobbs. That might be it.
Might be it. Everybody else.
Now I'm talking real value. I'm not talking 5th, 6th, 7th. Like, obviously Derek Carr is way more value. Like, you're not moving him for a 3rd or 4th round pick, but if you can get multiple 1s or 2s, if you can get a 2 for Jacobs, if you can get a 1 or a 2 for Waller, if you could get a 2 and a 3 for Renfro, like, you have to consider those trades.
Yeah, you have to. It's about that time. It's crazy. Oh my God, Raider Nation. I listen.
Did you think?
Yes.
The day before Halloween, we would be talking trade deadline and what can the Raiders get in trades? Did you think at any universe they'd be 2-5?
Yeah, no, I did not.
I didn't either.
The funny thing about it is, like, I remember being young and the Raiders were always bad, and I used to say, just get me to Thanksgiving. Like, get me. I would just honestly say in my mind, I'm like, get me to Thanksgiving. These dudes couldn't get you to Halloween. Like, think about that, Raider Nation. They couldn't get you to Halloween. That's bad football. It's bad all around. And maybe we can talk about Ziegler and everything like that. It means Ziegler and McDaniels and everything. And they're just a bad football team. I mean, you can sit there, if you didn't like this roster, like, don't tell Mark Davis what he wants to hear. Tell him the truth. Like, and it might have meant you not have the job, but, like, tell him the truth, because it'd been better off for everybody. Like, hey, listen, the roster is not great. I don't want to do all that. It's gonna be some painful years. Might have to move on from the quarterback. Might have to do all these things instead of trying to do this makeshift win now thing. That just didn't work.
Josh McDaniels has 10 weeks to have any semblance of ever being a head coach in this league again. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
If this team face plants and goes 5-12 with the roster that they had,
he's not coming back.
Mark Davis might move on from. I'm not saying he will or he won't. I'm saying he might. Derek Trinidad will never be a head coach in the NFL again. I can firmly say that.
Yeah, he won't. Because nobody's going to know. Because even if you're a coordinator, a front office guy, or whatever, and Derek Carr's not your cup of tea, if this team wins 5 games, you can't escape that as a coach. And then with the place you left is 500 and they got no quarterback.
How's Brian Dable doing in New York? Just for the listeners of the podcast that heard our coaching conversations in the past.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. I don't know. It's terrible. Even the horror show that they have in Denver has more wins. Think about that. Even though they have been as bad as you possibly can be, and they still have more wins.
I tried to give McDaniels the benefit of the doubt, and after this week, I just can't anymore. I tried Raider Nation. I just can't.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I think it was during last week's game. The last week's game where the Jaguars played the Giants. They showed a stat. They broke up a stat and said the guys who are new head coaches have a way better record, first year head coaches, than guys who are getting their second chance. And I think it's time for people to like really stop running that same wheel and starting giving the minute like who's I forgot a guy O'Connell's of the world, people like that jobs. Like it's just time to move on from the old guard. It's over. It's over. You can't have a head coach who has a losing record on his career and say, oh yeah, he's going to be good. Like it happened with Belichick. It's not happening with anybody else. Look at Peterson. It's not happening anywhere else.
Yeah, it's the day before Halloween, and we're talking coaching and draft picks. But I think we need to end the show pretty quickly before we go down that rabbit hole, because we're going to have several months to do that.
We must talk about that. Yeah, we do. All right.
I really want to talk about that the day before Halloween.
Yes. Enjoy your Halloween, everybody. Ryan, enjoy yours. Raider Nation, see you next time.
I will add one last thing.
Yeah.
So for Halloween, my daughter and her friends are going as like horror movie characters. So they bought me the outfit from Scream, like Ghostface.
Yeah.
And in the movie, always says, "What's your favorite horror movie?" Mine was watching the Raiders today.
Yes, it was.
That's my favorite horror film.
That was bad. Can't get worse. All right, man. Nope. Take care, brother.
All right. Take care.
Take care.